Let me remind you of what you really are. You're good. You're
Mhm.
safe. God loves you. I love you. Like all the things. I'd fill up that cup. And then all of a sudden, the behavior more naturally changes. I feel more relaxed. I feel more at peace. The part of me that's triggered knows that I, Trevor, the adult self, I'm in charge. And I'm a good guy to have in charge. I can take care of everything.
Welcome to the Get Your Marriage On podcast. I'm your host, Dan Purcell, a sex and intimacy coach for married couples. My mission is to help you build and maintain a sexually vibrant and emotionally intimate marriage. Join me each week as we explore principles and practical tools based on Christian values to create the passionate, joyful, and thriving marriage you're designed to have. If you've ever dealt with questions of self-worth, or if you feel like, am I ever really going to be good enough? Well, this episode is for you. I think it's universal that there are times in our lives we feel extra discouraged. We feel abandoned, maybe. Maybe we have both personal or relational problems, or even professionally. This episode is for you. Today, my guest is Trevor Hansen, and this guy has such an amazing story. I wanted to bring him on the podcast so you can hear it today. He worked at Tesla in corporate, then he had this life-changing experience and became a therapist. It sounds a little bit similar to my own journey. And he helps individuals and couples find a more secure self and move to more self-confidence. Before we begin, let me give you a few quick announcements that I want you to be aware of. First is we are organizing our first ever Get Your Marriage On cruise. We're sailing out of Galveston, Texas, October 2026. We're keeping the group small and intimate, and it's going to be a fantastic time. It's a 7-day trip. You get a vacation with us and also do a deep dive on all things intimacy. And we're bringing on a boudoir photographer, plus we have a lot of other surprises and great things planned. So you don't want to miss it. All those details you'll find on our website, getyourmarriageon.com/events. And speaking of events, we have our men's and women's small group coaching starting in the end of January. This is ideal for men that want to improve their side of the relationship or women that want to improve their side of the relationship. We go in depth over 14 weeks into intimacy in your marriage and help you see what you have control over and what your aspects are so that you can have more joy, more freedom, more laughter, more ease in your relationships. That's what you get in our small group programs, and those details you'll find on our site also. And lastly, around Valentine's Day, it's coming up. It's only a month and a half or 2 months away from the time of this recording. We're going to be having a really fun virtual getaway. Now, I've taught this content before, but we've completely revamped it for 2026. This is a virtual getaway where you'll send your kids to grandma's house or get a hotel, and you'll join me live in 3 sessions, and we do a deep dive on a sexual practice designed to help transform having sex to making love. And it's transformational. Whether you are a newlywed or been married over 50 years, I promise you'll learn something new that'll transform the way you engage with your spouse intimately. It's a fantastic thing to be a part of, and you'll find those details also on our website. Okay, now you get to meet my friend Trevor, where we talk about self-confidence, self-worth, and how to build more of it in our lives. Trevor, welcome to the Get Your Marriage On podcast. How are you today?
I'm so good. I'm ready to get my marriage on. That's what I'm ready for.
That's right. Oh, yeah. It's fun because being on this side of the microphone, I get to hobnob with these people that I look up to, and you're
Oh,
definitely one of them. So I'm fanboying a little bit to have you
oh,
on the podcast today.
that
Thanks for being
that
here.
feels weird because you're an amazing dude in that, but I appreciate it. I mean, I needed a little ego boost this morning, and I appreciate that.
Anytime. I want to hear your incredible story. It started
Oh,
with a job at Tesla, which
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's really cool. But something happened. Tell me more
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah, so people when they hear that I worked at Tesla, they're very surprised because I'm like a marriage and family therapist and all this, and
Yeah. Uh-huh.
it's like, wait, what? You did that? And so, well, I think before I even get to Tesla, it's because this has to do with like the whole thing is that why I do what I do is I didn't know really consciously. I wasn't really that aware of it throughout my life. I really struggled with like things like confidence, feeling like I was good enough, feeling like everybody was gonna like reject me or, you know, abandonment's kind of a harsh word, but like kind of abandon me, like not really be there for me. And I
Uh-huh.
felt like I had to like earn love from friends and everybody else. And I was living in Hawaii, in Laie, Hawaii, which I live in Hawaii now again. But
Uh-huh.
I was going to school and I had this opportunity come my way to go and work for Tesla right out of school. And it was a
Mhm.
pretty rare thing for somebody in my school. It was a little bit smaller to go to like a big corporate kind of gig like that, especially at the time. Tesla was like the name, right? It's like the Apple, the
Right.
Google, the Tesla. It's like you pick one of those three and it's like feels like you made it. And so for me, I was like, oh heck yeah, like this is a great opportunity. But also, I think it was like a little bit of, speaking of ego boost, it was like a little bit of a way of like showing everyone, like, see, look, I'm worthy. Like I
Uh-huh.
got this job. I'm good enough. And so I took the job and I went from living on the beach in Hawaii with like 10 dudes, tons of cute girls, things to do all the time, to
Uh-huh.
living in Reno,
Surfing.
Nevada.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, surfing, right?
Yeah.
To living in Reno, Nevada by myself in an apartment, just solo and
Mhm.
working all the time. The green grass was gone and it was like brown rocks. And
Mhm.
it was just so isolating. And I think my fears of, never finding somebody, being alone, not being good enough, man, they were like turned up to, 5,000. And so it was hard, but it was a trial that I'm really grateful for because
Mhm.
I learned so much from it. But yeah, I worked for Tesla for like 2 years before I actually even did this. And then a lot of things happened and I lost my job at Tesla. I was laid off in like a big wide corporate layoff across globally. And
Uh-huh.
I got laid off and at the same time I broke my jaw the same season. I was in a really unhealthy relationship. I want to say toxic, but I feel like it's overused. But it was a very tumultuous relationship. I was supposed to get married. I was like engaged, and the nature of the relationship really isolated me from friends and other
Mm.
people. And so I didn't have friends. I didn't have a functioning jaw. I didn't have a job. And the marriage that I thought was going to happen had just like exploded. And I didn't really know what to do. And so I started doing my own like healing work around the confidence. I started trying to pick up the pieces of how I felt after this, relationship that had a lot of trauma in it.
Uh-huh.
And I decided to go to therapy. And that's kind of like the first time I was ever introduced to this world is I signed up for therapy.
Gotcha. So you meet with this therapist
Yeah.
and it's like, holy cow. Fast forward a few weeks, I'm a different person, or at least I have some more direction, what I need to
Yeah.
do. And it just completely changed your outlook
Yeah.
on things. And did you think you found your calling at that moment? It's like, yes, this is it. This is
You
so
know,
impactful.
it took a minute, but I would say I started doing the work in therapy and it was helpful. There was a few things that I feel like I needed to actually happen a little bit different. And there were some things I was noticing in the therapy process that just from like a functional standpoint, I was like, oh, I think this could be better. Which is so it's kind of combination. Yes, it was working. And number two, I saw an opportunity in therapy for maybe some improvement. And then number three, it's just like it totally aligned with who I was. I was like, I love this. Like I could totally do this. And so I kind of took a leap of faith, right? Like most therapists don't financially make what a corporate career Tesla guy makes, right?
No.
And I was like pretty nervous about it, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like trust God and I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna get a master's of marriage and family therapy. And I'm gonna see if I can do it different. And in doing it different, maybe I can also, provide some better results for people. And in doing that, maybe one day I can make as much as I did in my corporate career. That's not so much the focus. It's just about like helping people in the way that I was helped. And because that change, man, it was a huge change. We could talk more specifically about it. But
Let's do.
to go from feeling broken and insecure and, always wondering what people are thinking about you, never feeling good enough, to being in a place where I feel like deeply connected with myself. I fill up my own cup. The reassurance of everybody else doesn't do it for me. It feels good, right? You tell me you're
Mhm.
fanboying, and I'm like, cool, that's a little bonus. You just overflowed the cup for me because it was already full. And to go from those two places, that was inspiring to me to say, I want to help people do this. I live in a different world now and I want to help people get here.
Gotcha. So let's dive a little bit deeper. what do
Yeah.
you see are common patterns with couples where, because of this struggle that they have,
Yeah.
what are some of the symptoms of it, I guess, in a
Totally.
relationship?
Totally. So we'll kind of build out a character for a minute because this helps us keep
Okay,
track of where everything is.
sounds
So
good.
the character we're working with is dealing the person that I help is the person who has a few signature feelings. One, they've got the fear of abandonment. They're kind of feeling like
Okay.
everyone's going to reject them and leave them, and it couples with a fear of not being good enough, or they believe that they're just not good enough. And
Mhm.
those two things kind of heighten each other, meaning the more you don't feel like you're good enough, the more reasonably it would make sense that other people were going to abandon you.
Uh-huh.
And the more you feel like people are going to abandon you, the more you try to protect yourself from that happening. And in a couple relationship, what will happen is that this person will be more sensitive to things that happen in the relationship, like with their partner. Let's say their partner comes home, they're kind of had a long day, they're a little bit more
Mhm.
quiet, they're a little bit more short with the kids. And
Mhm.
all of a sudden, the person who has the fear of abandonment and all this is believing that they're to blame. Oh my gosh,
You're
he's
right.
mad at me. He's upset with me. He doesn't
He's gonna
love me.
leave me.
Yeah,
Right.
he's gonna leave, right?
Uh-huh.
And the
Right.
story might not go that big, but you're at least
Uh-huh.
afraid of some form of abandonment, like just emotional abandonment. Like he's
Right.
not gonna come close to me, right? And so it can go one of two ways that become problematic is that you people please. You bury all the fear, all your own needs for connection, and you just focus on trying to make that person happy. Because if you can make them happy, it's like you can make them come back online, right? Oh, I got my husband
Mhm.
back. And now I feel safe. I feel connected, and I'm good. So you people please. Meanwhile,
Right.
you might be building resentment because you're burying your own needs, and there's all sorts of challenges there. Or you go the other direction. You get a bit more critical. And from a logical standpoint, it kind of makes sense. Just point out the thing that's wrong. You didn't greet me when you came in the door. You didn't give me a hug. Like, do I even exist? I've been here with the kids all day doing all this, and you didn't even look at me,
Right.
right? Boom, boom,
Uh-huh.
boom. Machine guns out, just shooting into his back. And he's like going, oh my gosh. And the effect of that is that he abandons, he gets withdrawn, pushes back or defends. He comes out with his machine gun or his shield. The shield's like run
Uh-huh.
away, machine guns fight back. And all of a sudden, you're feeling more abandoned and more hurt than before. And it really is because the protective mechanism that you used to avoid his abandonment or the perception of abandonment was something that created what looks like abandonment in him. And so it's this like kind of crazy cycle that just like continues on.
Uh-huh.
But at the heart of it, if we can heal the fears around abandonment, the fears around not being good enough, build the self-worth, that situation plays out way different, right? It plays out with
Mm.
curiosity. Hey, what's going on? You seem a little more quiet tonight. Like, you good? I got a story in my head, and maybe you'd even admit it. You're like, the story in my head right now is that you're mad at me, but I don't know if that's totally true. Can I check in with you?
Mhm.
Oh, that's much more open, much more connecting. So that's kind of an illustration of the core problem of fear of abandonment and not feeling good enough and how it plays out in a relationship.
Gotcha. So it's really about maturity in a way. It's about
Mm.
some more self-awareness too. It's about like in real time because I think most people who are in the thick of it, they don't realize that's actually what's going on inside
Oh,
them.
no, 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 no. Yeah.
They're just reacting.
Yeah.
You're just running the program. So
Yeah.
it's about so I guess how do people kind of become more aware of this so that they can start finding better solutions, better choices around these situations?
Yeah. So I will say that awareness is definitely like the first step. And a lot of people who probably tune into your podcast, they're probably pretty aware because they're doing the work. If they're here, they're working on themselves. They've realized, man, maybe I do have that fear. Maybe I have these insecurities, we could call them, right? The fear of
Mhm.
abandonment, feeling not good enough. They realize it and they can even see it happen. And that's good, but then there's like this gap where they're like, my logical mind tells me, I know how to, I know how to show up more in a healthy way. I know how to do it. But then there's this emotional part that just takes over and I can't control it. It's like, you know, it's the inner child in the back seat, you're sitting back there in a car seat, sipping a juice box, and then all of a sudden it crushes the juice box, unclips, jumps in the front seat, and that emotional part is like taking control. You got the steering wheel
Uh-huh.
and you wake up in
Hijack.
a
Uh-huh.
ditch after the fight with your partner or after,
Yeah.
whatever, and you're going, "How did we get here?" And so the thing that I think a lot of people are missing is not so much the awareness, because that can happen really quick. I'm aware of my problem. It's the
Mhm.
emotional transformation that makes it so that you no longer have that nervous system response of fear, fight, flight. And that's the key that I feel like most people are really missing in their process, is that they need the emotional transformation.
Got it. Is there a specific example you can give us of maybe a couple you've worked with? You can, of course, keep the details private,
Yeah,
but and let's apply it to, the bedroom.
for
Maybe
sure.
something where there's a conflict around sexual intimacy and
Yeah.
how this is played out, and I'm really interested in hearing about that emotional healing
Yes.
that goes on, so they're not in fight and flight or freeze all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So we know definitely that things that happen outside of the bedroom impact what happens inside of the bedroom
Right.
in a great way, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to kind of take that approach real quick. We'll go to the example of a couple where one side of the couple, when they feel unsafe in the relationship, they might kind of close off a little bit more. Vulnerability
Mm.
feels scary. I don't want to be vulnerable with you because I don't want to get hurt, right? And
Mhm.
the other partner is maybe more on the side where they're anxious and they try to like fix it right then and there. They're the one who wants physical intimacy to try to feel better, to like try to
Yes.
connect and repair. So they're on opposite sides of the spectrum. And this is probably going to happen all the time. Pretty classic dynamic I've seen in my work. And the scenario might be, the one who is the one to like pursue sexual intimacy to fix things,
Uh-huh.
they're
Uh-huh.
probably also going to be the one that we were describing earlier, a little bit more afraid of abandonment, right? Don't run from me, I'll
Mhm.
chase you. um,
Right.
Not feeling good enough. And earlier in the day or in the week, there's something that happens. We don't know the context, but there's an argument, right? Something happens where
Right.
the partner, we'll give them names so that we can keep track of everybody. Let's say it's, I don't know, Kyle and Deb. Deb, she's the more pursuant one, and Kyle, he's going to shut down. And Kyle says something that makes Deb, it triggers her fear of abandonment and
Mhm.
her not good enough. And she responds with some harshness, with some
Mhm.
criticism. She's coming down on him. And because of that, he kind of goes into that withdrawn place. And time might go by. Maybe they brush it under the rug. Nothing really happens. But then when it comes time to like being intimate, he's like lost desire. He's just not there. And his desire's gone because safety is gone. And he just doesn't feel like he can be open to connect with her. And so there's
Mhm.
walls up. And those walls are up. And then she feels rejected. Well, what do you mean? Like, and the connection for her might not even be there, right? She might not realize that the argument that happened early in the day is responsible for the withdrawn state that Kyle's in now. And she's just
Right.
really confused, really frustrated. And the more she's frustrated, the more unsafe he feels because, again, she's coming out with maybe the criticism or the frustration, lack of understanding. And so the key for this type of couple is to recognize the pattern and recognize how safety or the lack of safety influences the level of sexual vulnerability, and
Mhm.
being willing to slow down and be curious about, oh, maybe why is that desire not there? And maybe a repair needs to be made before the other partner's ready to engage sexually. It might not be that repair, happens through sex. It's that it happens before sex to make sense more of like a manifestation of our safety and a sign that says we are okay, we are safe. And it's almost like a celebration for others, right? It's just we feel differently about sex, and we got to remember that people operate in a different way.
Gotcha. So what I hear you saying is when we approach sex as a way to make me feel better about our relationship, make up sex, some
Yep,
people
yep.
say, right? It's reinforcing patterns that are about, I don't feel safe, but please have sex with me so I feel better about me.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
I think I hear you saying.
yeah. That could be part of it for sure. It's a very complicated thing, right? We're talking about so many layers, right?
Mhm.
Deb, she's pursuing with all this anxious energy and wanting to feel like she's good enough again. Kyle's like walled off, going like, I can't get close to you right now because I feel hurt. And like,
Mhm.
there's so many layers to it. And I think that's why it's important for couples to get very curious about this in times of safety. when you're not in the middle of all of the heat, right? You can look back on a
Right.
situation like this and dissect it. And Kyle can go,
Mhm.
hey, those times when we have arguments, like it affects me like for days until we do something about it. Like even if we're not fighting anymore, I still just don't feel open to. And that's maybe why I avoid you or I tell you I'm too tired or, all of that. Like I'm not actually too tired. I think I just, I'm feeling shut down. And Deb in that place when she's not triggered can go, oh my gosh, I understand this. So what do you need? And he's like, well, I just need to prepare. Like I need to talk about it before I can engage again. Oh my gosh, the clarity on that, right? So much clarity, but it's pretty hard to get that clarity if you're in the middle of the actual cycle.
Yeah, good. Great. So, kinda like in times of peace, that's when the military runs all their drills. They know they can think more clearly so
Yeah.
that when they're in the battle, you don't be overcome with the fog of war. I think
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about here.
totally.
Yeah, a great time to work on your relationship is when things are going well so that you can figure out what your patterns are when things don't go well.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, so Trevor, let's say you're Deb, and you mentioned something about this like deep emotional transformation that needs to happen. Like
Yeah.
she's really looking outside of her to feel better about herself in the way she's pursuing her husband. Can we go a little bit deeper now? Let's peel back some more layers. If Deb was sitting in your office and you're working
Yep.
with her, how would you help her go through that emotional transformation?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is really important. So most people that would be in that situation, Deb, the people that we work with are those who have been in therapy for like a long time. They've been in years, and those are our kind of favorite people to work with because oftentimes they've gotten a lot of awareness from therapy. Like they talked about their childhood 500 times. They've gotten a lot of awareness from books and podcasts, and they know all the information, but they haven't had a transformation. And
Hmm.
there's a few missing pieces, and one of them is this emotional experience aspect. And so when we think about it this way, so Deb in her history, if we're going back to her, you know, feeling not good enough, trying to find peace outside of herself, most likely it's because she had emotional experiences through her youth where she
Hmm.
felt like love had to be earned. Maybe mom was really critical, or
Hmm.
maybe dad was emotionally distant and difficult to contact, and so she always felt like she had to fight for attention. Or maybe she grew up in a religious home that they taught a lot of obedience, but not a lot of grace. And it was like shame
Hmm.
kind of focused, right? And so
Hmm.
whatever it is, those were emotional experiences. Nobody sat down and told her, well, Deb, you got to be afraid that everyone's going to believe you. You got to believe that you got to be
Hmm.
perfect to be loved. And I'm going to make you aware of the fact that you're not good enough. And she's like, okay,
Gotcha.
check, got it, right?
Mm.
That didn't happen. It was she felt things. And so the work is to now create experiences where you feel the opposite. You feel a deep sense of self-compassion, feel a deep sense of love for yourself, a deep sense of trust and confidence maybe in your higher power to know they got your back, even if your husband doesn't got your back right now. Like
Uh-huh.
you are good. Filling your own emotional needs and feeling like the satisfaction that comes from that. And so and you're probably thinking, well, how? Like, what's the actual application? And one of them could be, for example, we'll do this guided visualization where we'll take you to a moment in history where you needed somebody to be there for you, right?
Gotcha.
And
Uh-huh.
if, especially if you're a mom, mom and dad, they both got the superpower. They know how to nurture and love a child in
Mhm.
distress, right? And so you take that superpower and you go find that inner child version of you. You visualize.
Mhm.
You sit across from me, you say, "What do you need right now? I'm here for you. I want to help you." You're having an active conversation with the emotional part of you that takes over. The logical part of you knows that you probably shouldn't get really critical of your partner and like come down hard on them. But the emotional part's like, I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. And so you speak directly to that part with compassion and love. And you have these experiences where you really feel like you're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of the wounded part of yourself in a way that's so meaningful. And if you do that on repeat, that's just one example, but there's many. If you do those on repeat, you get enough repetition, you start to just notice that you're not quite as triggered. That those negative beliefs, they start to subside. They get quieter. So that's a bit of an example of what we mean when we say give yourself emotional experiences.
That's really good. And what you're talking about reminds me of another guest we've had on our podcast just a few weeks ago, Lori Craig. Such a powerful story about transformation for herself, and it was exactly that. It wasn't until she kind of gave herself kind of the space in mind or whatever you want to call it to really consider her older self coming to comfort her younger self at the time of her wounding of what she went through. And I, it's kinda it's not abandoning your old script, but it's like looking at it in a fresh light so that you can realize, "Oh, there's more goodness here. I can learn from this. I can I'm fine. I'm
Yeah,
okay through it."
totally, totally. And if you're good with it, I'll give you a little bit of a story and a framework. If someone's sitting here like, "Oh, I want a takeaway. Like, how could I do this?"
Yeah,
I'll give you a story and a framework. You good with that?
let's do it.
Okay, so I was in Chick-fil-A one day, eating the Lord's chicken, obviously not on a Sunday, and
Uh-huh,
there's this 4-year-old little girl. I'm assuming she's 4. She was running back
uh-huh,
and forth. She was doing that thing where she goes to the playground and she's running back to dad, popping in a chicken nugget, and then going back. It's like
uh-huh.
the best feeling for a 4-year-old. It looks amazing. So she's having a good time, but then it came to that moment in every 4-year-old's day at Chick-fil-A that they hate, where you gotta go home, right?
Yes,
Dad turns to her. He says, "Sweetie, we gotta go home." And then all of a sudden, because she's 4, of course she's gonna do this. She starts to melt down a little bit, right? And she
mhm.
says all this stuff that's not true. Yeah, I hear it out of her mouth. And she says, "But Dad, we're never gonna come back." It's like, okay, that's definitely not true, but like she's thinking that.
Uh-huh,
And Dad, you're being so mean. And like, those are the two things that came out of her mouth for the most part.
uh-huh,
And
uh-huh,
what he did, he provided an example of what it looks like to nurture our inner child, the part of us that's full of irrational, fearful beliefs, right? Like, I'm
mhm.
not good enough. Everyone's going to leave me. Sounds kind of similar to her beliefs in that moment. We're
Yeah, yeah,
never coming
uh-huh,
back. You're so mean. And what he did is he first recognized what was going on for her and just repeated it back to her. And he like leaned over. He didn't grab her, rip her out of the store,
uh-huh,
like some parents might. He leans
uh-huh,
over and he goes, "Oh, sweetie, you feel like dad's being super mean right now?" And she's like, "Yeah."
uh-huh,
"And you don't think we're ever gonna come back?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, that's so scary, right? You love it here. You love Chick-fil-A. The chicken's good. I know you love the red chairs." And she's like, "Yeah, I love the red chairs." And they're talking about it all. And he says, "Sweetie, I get why that would feel so scary. And I get why you think I'm being mean because you love it here. That totally makes sense." And all of a sudden, you can see her. She's starting to come online. She's like, "Okay, dad's not just trying to force me out of here. He is working with me." She's not thinking that, but you can see it happening, right? So
uh-huh,
first he
uh-huh,
recognizes her. He then validates what she's feeling. And then because of that, he has room to give her truth that counteracts the falsehoods that she believes. He didn't have the room before. He needed to gain
You
the
couldn't
trust.
receive it. Uh-huh,
No, she could not receive it, but
uh-huh,
she was in a receptive place. And he goes, "Well, sweetie, we always come back because your cousin, anytime they have a soccer game, we come here every time. Do you remember that?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." And she's like, "Guess what? We got a soccer game this next week, so we're gonna come back." She's like, "Oh, okay." And dad's not really trying to be mean. Mom's waiting for you at home. She's excited to see us. She's with your little brother. And you got your princess bed at home, which is way cuter than these chairs, right? And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I do want to sleep there. It's not very comfortable here, right? I can't stay the
uh-huh.
night." And she starts to realize that dad holds truth that she hasn't realized is there. And
Mm.
because of that, then when he extends the invitation to behave differently, she complies easily. She walks out the door, happy as a clam, chatting her head off. I don't know what she was saying, but she was so happy, just talking to dad, and she leaves. And I look at that and I say, what if I treated the fearful part of myself that responds with fears around not being good enough, being rejected, right? When my partner maybe does something that makes me feel hurt, like they're leaving, like they don't think I'm good enough. What if I turned to that little version of me and I was like, "Oh, Trevor, you're feeling like, they don't respect you and that she doesn't care about you right now." And I kind of feel the response, "Yeah. Oh my goodness, man, I get why you'd feel that way." Right? The way she
Mm.
came home and the things she said, like whatever happened or whatever happened in the bedroom, like you expected this, you told her that you love it when she does that, but then she didn't do it, or like whatever happens, right? Something triggering. And you go, I get why you feel that way. But can I remind you of something? That you're totally worth it. You're totally worth it.
Mm.
Like you're good enough. And it makes sense given your past, right? Maybe you had somebody, a critical mom or a less compassionate father. Like, I get it. Let me remind you of what you really are. You're good. You're
Mhm.
safe. God loves you. I love you. Like all the things. I'd fill up that cup. And then all of a sudden, the behavior more naturally changes. I feel more relaxed. I feel more at peace. The part of me that's triggered knows that I, Trevor, the adult self, I'm in charge, and I'm a good guy to have in charge. I can take care of everything, and so that's the bit of the framework is like recognize and validate, move into then offering the new perspective or the truth, and from the
Mhm.
truth, then you encourage a new behavior. Hey, you know, instead of shutting down and pushing your partner away when something during a sexual interaction doesn't meet your expectation or you don't feel cared for, why don't we just talk to them about it or ask them or ask for that need to be met instead of maybe pushing away or getting critical? The behavior naturally changes. So I loved that story. It was just such a cool thing to watch.
That is so good. I'm trying to think moments in my own life where a similar framework has helped me. This happened a few years ago. I This was a moment in time when it rains, it pours, and this was, like, the most an incredibly stressful period of time for me, and I just remember kind of on my knees praying for help from God, from Heavenly Father, "Just guide me, help me understand." And he sent a lot of angels to me in that time. But what I find interesting is, at least in my experience at the moment, he didn't like take the problems away from me, but he gave me like strength to shoulder them better. And this is how it worked for me, similar to what you did. It's like, why is this happening to me, God?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'm
yeah,
complaining, right?
yeah,
And then it was almost like, that whisper, it's that validation. Yeah, this is hard, isn't it? This is difficult. It was validating, first acknowledging that. And then came the truth. And it is a thought that no matter what I experience in life, God's not oblivious to my experience. And just the thought, too, that helped me was to think that even God himself would send his son to suffer even more than any other person on earth can suffer
yeah,
as as an example. And that even if Jesus can do that, then surely he can help me. Somehow just connecting those thoughts together, that
yeah.
truth kinda just, like, put a cap on it. Just
Oh man.
it didn't change my circumstances,
Yeah,
but it sure, like, relieved whatever it was. It was emotionally healing so that I could shoulder whatever it is that I had to do at the moment, and looking back, it's a very sacred time for me because of the growth, because of the how I grew closer to God through the experience. I think this is kind of the pattern that you're trying to teach
yeah,
here to our listeners.
yeah,
I'm gonna say it this way, it sounds like a right-brained approach. It's not left brain. You're not gonna get this, like, reading a book or memorizing a list or being overtly analytical.
no, you were
It's
not.
something you have to experience. It's more broad strokes. We're talking about emotions
Yep.
and emotional experiences. We're very right brain experiences. But you gotta get yourself in that state.
Yeah.
You gotta listen for it, create that space for it.
Yeah. And there's obviously a way to do that with like added guidance, like working with somebody like me or somebody like you, right? Where they're like
Oh, yeah,
guiding
yeah.
you through that, right? There's like
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
visualizations, like we're doing step by step, right? There's also, I would say the self-starter version is just see if you can recognize what might you consider as like an inner child, right? The inner child is so nice because it's accessible. It's like little kids are
Uh-huh.
so easy.
Everyone has an inner child.
Yeah, and they're so easy to love too. It's like,
Uh-huh.
they're more innocent, lovable, they're equally as lovable as you are now, but we might feel like they're easier to love, a little version of you. And so for me, like in my own struggles and healing, I remember I had all these pictures of my younger self on my mirror. And this is the same mirror where previously, I have to admit, like I've looked at myself and said hurtful, like really even like hateful things. And I remember I would look at those pictures and I would talk to like that version of me. And I would almost switch back and forth where I'd like kind of like look at myself and look at the pictures and just say things like, Trevor, like today I'm going to treat you so good. Like today I'm not going to leave you behind. Today, even if you make mistakes, like I'm the one who's going to be here for you, okay, dude? Like I got you. When somebody doesn't give you, the validation that you feel like you desperately need, know that I'm here the whole time, that we're still lovable, that it's still okay. And those conversations would carry on, right? Throughout my day. I'd even talk outside out loud to myself in the car. And I would also, the speaking part is important, but the listening part is almost more important, where you
Mhm.
might ask out loud yourself, like, you know, hey, little me, what is it right now that you need? And you pause and you will hear things come to your mind as if they're really in there. It's wild. It might just be like, I just need to feel like safe. It's like, okay, this is how we can feel safe right now. You know, maybe
That's
I'm
so
gonna
good.
pull over my car and I'm just gonna like listen to that song that I love. Or I'm going to call somebody that I know makes me feel loved, and I'm gonna do that right now for you. And man, when you do that over and over and over again, you have this deep trust in yourself that you are gonna take care of you. And it's
Mhm.
not like, you're this some big bad independent person who's like, I don't need nobody in my life, and you're snapping your fingers.
Uh-huh.
It's not that you get there. It's that, I love people. I do rely on them. I put trust in them, but I know that people are people, and when they fail, I am okay because I always
Mhm.
have my back. And man, that's the confidence. That's deep confidence. That's not fake it till you make it, puff your chest out and maybe you'll feel more confident kind of stuff. No, no, no. We're talking about deep confidence.
So, what would it be like making love sorry, this might sound really crazy what I'm about to say. What's it
Yeah.
like for your wife to make love to this version of Trevor versus
Oh,
your old version of Trevor?
yeah,
What's that like?
totally. Yeah. Well, this version is,
Or this
oh,
version of Trevor's capacity to make love to his wife
yeah,
compared to the old Trevor's capacity to make love to his wife. Let's maybe that's a
yeah.
better way of saying
Well,
it.
it's interesting because I feel like the old version is maybe much more focused on receiving than giving, right?
Okay.
Receiving is I need this to feel like I'm good enough or validated or whatnot. And the new version is just much more present and giving, where my cup is full and this experience is just overflowing it. And I'm enjoying that, right? And it's yeah, presence, it's also gentleness, much more curiosity around like what she needs and how she's feeling and what's going on, which improves her experience, which then only improves mine because she is more of the things that I want in the first place, which is
Right.
open, receptive, pursuing, making me feel like I'm awesome, right? And
Uh,
yeah, it's this really cool cycle where the more secure you feel, the more you can be present and give in ways that are aligned with your capacity. And the more you do that, the more you receive positive outcomes that only reinforce the things that you want at your core.
that's so good. All right. So, if you want to experience a little more healing of your inner child, if you want to feel more secure within yourself so you have that genuine confidence, I suggest they either look you up or come find me. But Trevor, tell people where they can go to learn more about you.
Yeah, so you can go just to Instagram. Honestly, that's a great place to go. I say The Art of Healing by Trevor is my handle, or you can go to my website, theartofhealingbytrevor.com. And honestly, I just tell people like do something for free, right? I've got a free little seminar. It's 4 bullet points on the things that most people are missing in their healing journey and that can make a big difference when it comes to the inner child, insecurities, or if you've heard the buzzword anxious attachment, it's kind of all of that. So there's a free seminar on both the website and Instagram. And I think if you're like, oh, this is cool, like I want to do a little more, that's a great place to do a little more.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like help applying any of these principles in your marriages, in your relationships, please check out our program at getyourmarriageon.com, where we do a deep dive on intimacy in your relationship and help you get to your next level. And I wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas next week. And until then, go get your marriage on.